Warning: this video discusses abuse, bullying, murder, suicide, self-harm, death, and mental health. Viewer discretion is advised. There are thousands of creepypasta characters out there, but some never get the attention they deserve. Teg is one of them. He's a lesser-known proxy with a surprisingly dark and complicated story, one involving abuse, bullying, murder, suicide, and an impossible second life. So who exactly is Teg? Let's take a look at the story of Vincent Jaquez Radcliffe and the undead proxy he became. Vincent Radcliffe was 21 years old. He lived in Nashville, Tennessee, and for most of his life, there wasn't anything particularly unusual about him. He was quiet. He kept mostly to himself. He enjoyed drawing, cooking, and wood carving. He wasn't particularly tall, standing at only 5 feet 5 inches, and he tended to avoid drawing attention to himself. Vincent was also very close to his mother. Unfortunately, that relationship would eventually become one of the most painful parts of his life. His mother, Estelle, had been diagnosed with cancer. The doctor told her that she had only a few months left to live. Vincent's father, Louis, struggled to deal with the situation. Between the stress of work and watching his wife slowly deteriorate, he became increasingly angry and distant. The father Vincent had once known as caring gradually became verbally abusive. He was also rarely home. Sometimes he would only return for a few days at a time. That left Vincent alone with his mother. So Vincent became her caretaker. He cooked for her, he cleaned the house. He took care of her when she was bedridden. And although none of this was easy, Vincent kept doing it because he loved his mother. She wanted him to finish college. She wanted him to get a career. She wanted him to succeed. And Vincent didn't want to disappoint her. So he stayed in college, even though college had become a nightmare. Vincent was being bullied. One of his classmates, Kevin, had made him a frequent target. The harassment continued for quite some time until one day, Kevin and several of his friends decided to take things much further. At the end of the school day, they cornered Vincent behind the college building. They pinned him down, and then they burned a symbol into the right side of his neck, the symbol of a Slenderman proxy. They had used hot equipment to burn it into his skin, simply because they thought it would be funny. They wanted to make him look like a creep. They wanted to humiliate him, and they succeeded. But what they didn't know was that Vincent was already barely holding himself together. His mother was dying, his father was abusive, he was being tormented at college, and every day he was expected to keep going as though everything was normal. Then came the news he had been dreading. His father was coming home in 3 days. When Vincent returned home from college, he found his father sitting in the living room. Vincent didn't say much. He simply greeted him and went to put his stuff away. Later that evening, Vincent prepared dinner. He made duck breast, one of his favorite foods, and the three of them sat around the dinner table. For a moment, it almost felt normal. Then, Louis began talking. He complained about Vincent. He said he was ashamed of him. He criticized him for being 19 years old and not having a job. Vincent corrected him. He wasn't 19. He was 21. That only made the argument worse. The conversation became louder, the insults became harsher, and eventually, Vincent couldn't take it anymore. He stood up and stormed away from the table. He ran upstairs to his room, and for a moment he just stood there, trying to breathe, trying to think, trying to hold himself together. But something inside Vincent finally broke. He picked up the baseball bat his father had once given him and grabbed the Swiss Army knife his father had also given him. Vincent went back downstairs. He had made up his mind. He was going to kill his father. Louis never saw it coming. Vincent struck him in the head with the baseball bat, and his father fell. But Vincent kept hitting him, again and again and again. until his father was dead. Eventually, Vincent dropped the bat and stood there for a moment, staring at what he had done. Then he ran. He left the house. He left his mother behind, and he disappeared into the forest. Eventually, Vincent heard sirens. His mother had called the police. He knew they were coming for him, and Vincent knew what would happen if they found him. He still had that Swiss Army knife in his pocket. So, believing there was no way out, he attempted to take his own life by cutting his wrists. Everything went black. But he didn't stay dead. When he woke up, he was confused. He was supposed to be dead, he knew that. So why was he still alive? Before he could understand what had happened, a hiker discovered him. The hiker recognized Vincent. He knew about the murder, and when Vincent realized that the man knew who he was, panic took over. In a desperate attempt to escape, Vincent attacked the hiker with a large stick. The hiker died. Vincent ran again. He tore through the forest. Thorns ripped at his clothes. Branches scratched his skin. He didn't stop. He couldn't stop until he tripped over a root. Vincent fell face first into a rock. The impact killed him. But then he woke up. His eyes were no longer the same. The damage had caused hyphema. His once brown eyes had become black. But that wasn't the only thing that had changed. Someone had found Vincent, taken him away, and brought him to Slender Man. His memories were confused, his mind felt scrambled, and nothing seemed quite right. Eventually, Vincent became something entirely different. A proxy. He took a new name, Teg. The person Vincent Radcliffe had been was, as far as the world knew, dead. And technically, they weren't wrong. Vincent had died. What came back was something else. Teg doesn't look much like the person he used to be. He's thin and pale with light gray skin and short auburn hair, and his eyes are completely black. Deep scars around his wrist and the proxy symbol remains burned into the right side of his neck. He now dresses almost entirely in black. He carries an axe as his primary weapon, and unlike Vincent, Teg is no longer entirely human. He's undead. He possesses immortality and slow regeneration, along with exceptional aim, stealth, weapon skills, and hand-to-hand combat abilities. He's capable of being extremely dangerous, but despite all of this, there are still pieces of Vincent hiding underneath Teg. He's usually quiet. He doesn't like talking or being around people, and he can be extremely apathetic. He has little remorse for the people he kills, and he can be sadistic and brutal when dealing with his enemies, but he isn't fearless. He's far from it. He suffers from severe anxiety and panic attacks. When his panic becomes bad enough, he can become physically ill and vomit. Sometimes he even vomits blood. He's claustrophobic, and despite being an undead proxy capable of killing people, he becomes nervous around anyone over 6 feet tall. It's a strange contrast. A person who can be terrifying to others can still be terrified himself. Teg isn't entirely consumed by violence. He still enjoys drawing and wood carving, and he's an incredibly skilled cook. Cooking is something he learned while caring for his mother. His favorite food is still duck breast, the same meal he made on the night his father died. He enjoys Earl Grey tea, rap music, and French music. Despite being born in America, he's described as 100% French. And, ironically, he absolutely hates French stereotypes. His past still continues to follow him. His father and mother are dead. Kevin, the person responsible for burning the proxy symbol into Vincent's neck, is still someone Teg may want revenge against. One of his goals was to kill his father. He succeeded. His other goal is to kill Kevin. Whether he ever accomplishes that remains unclear. Perhaps the strangest part of Teg's story is that nobody from Vincent's old life knows what happened to him. Everyone assumes he's dead. His former classmates don't know that he's still walking around. His old acquaintances don't know. And anyone who remembers Vincent Radcliffe probably believes that his story ended in that forest. They don't know about Teg. As far as they're concerned, Vincent died. And maybe that's the most disturbing part. Vincent did die. Something wearing his face came back.